Hi, we're going to be taking a look at ratios and proportions, getting ready for a similarity unit. Our learning targets is being able to identify and write a ratio and solve proportions. So first of all, a ratio is a comparison of two quantities. You can write a ratio three different ways. As a fraction, using the word 2 and a colon. Identify the two things being compared, and then write the ratio according to the description. So for example, in this one with Family Guy, it says, what is the ratio of people to dogs in the Griffin family? Well, first of all, what are the two things being compared? We are comparing the number of people to the number of dogs. So then that is the exact order that we have to set up our ratio. So there are 5 people to 1 dog. So the ratio would be 5 to 1. The ratio of the side lengths for a scaling triangle are 4 to 5 to 6, and the perimeter is 24 meters. What is the length of the shortest side of the triangle? Well, we don't know what the shortest side of the triangle is, and we don't know what any length of the triangle is. We just know the ratios of them all. So to set up the equation, you're essentially looking at 4 times the unknown. So 4x plus 5x plus 6x equals 24. Where x represents the commonality between all three, where 4, 5, and 6 is how the side lengths are changing. So then we combine our like terms, and you get 15x divided by 15 to get 1.6. And then, to figure out the shortest side length of the triangle, you multiply 1.6 by 4 to get 6.4. So then the shortest side length of the triangle is 6.4. And then it says, write a ratio expressing the slope of each line. Well, we have time across the x-axis, distance across the y-axis. So in 1 hour, you traveled 50 miles. In 3 hours, you traveled 150 hours. So we can utilize the slope formula to help us figure out our equation, or our ratio. So slope is actually an example of a ratio that we can write as a fraction. So we use slope formula, 150 minus 50, over 3 minus 1, so 100 over 2 is the ratio of 50 over 1. And then we're going to take a look at a proportion. A proportion is an equation in which a ratio is equal to the ratio to a ratio. Another way of thinking about it is 2 ratios set equal to each other. And it's read as A is to B as C is to D. So 5 is to A as 30 is to 54. So we cross multiply to solve. So 5 times 500, or 5 times 54 is equal to 30 times A. And then we divide by 30 to get 9. And then example number 6, you cross multiply, you get 3b is equal to 12 times 0.72. And 12 times 0.72 is 8.64. Divide by 3, and you get 2.88. And then finally, in this last example, anytime you have a binomial, so anything with 2 terms, you put the binomial in parentheses when you multiply it. So if I cross multiply that, you get 4 times parentheses n minus 1 equals 16. 8 times 2 is 16. Distribute the 4 to get 4n minus 4 equals 16. Add the 4 to get 20. Divide by 4 to get 5. And then finally, our last example is Mrs. Perkins wants to make a wallet-sized copy of LeBron James, her favorite forward. She will need to make the photograph half of its court dimensions. The dimensions of the photograph is 8 inches by 10 inches. What is the scale factor for this photograph? The scale factor comes from the wording actually in here. It says that she will need to make the photograph half of its current dimensions. So our scale factor is actually 1/2. What are the new dimensions of this wallet size photo? So we take half of 8 and half of 10, and we get 4 inches by 5 inches.